to listen to Mrs. Nomvula Mokonyane. She was addressing in KZN 8th celebration. I don't know media breakfast. Okay, so now she's going to be talking about some very important topics, which I think they are in the mouth of a lot of South Africans. Okay, so I want us to take a listen because she makes very important points, which I think I can even say in my unbiased view that it was actually a nice short speech, because she was talking about Trump, talking about Congo thing, talking about ANC in terms of what there is a point actually she made, which actually it actually talks to me when it comes to what I've said before about the ANC or all the political parties in South Africa. But I want us to take a moment and just listen to her so that she can speak for herself. Please, I just need a favor from you guys. You can just like the video if you like it. You can just subscribe to the channel if you're new and you like the content. Ladies and gents, welcome, and let's get into the video.
Logistics has been prioritized, and already starting from the 6th administration, there's been a rollout around the development and the improvement of our logistics infrastructure. The issue of Trump, well, the United States of America had its own elections and Americans voted for Trump. And their systems are different from ours. We continue to engage at a bilateral level because we do have a binational relationship with the United States of America. We also are represented through our different departments, and in this instance, I think the hardest seat will be the Department of Health. We're in the various non-governmental organizations, especially the ones that are dealing with HIV and AIDS, as well as other communicable diseases. What we have reflected on as the ANC is that part of what we should do is to not only be the recipients of what America is saying through their president, but we should also use our diplomatic channels. And that's where we are dealing with these matters. I'm sure you have heard, and I think Comrade Joe, with your permission, and Program Director, can elaborate on this process and even the review that has taken place. So it's not something that we play into the gallery, but also there is also an impact on America itself. Resolutions or decisions or new regulations that come, they also have an impact not only against those that are recipients, but it is also against Americans themselves. They thrive on the pharmaceutical industry, amongst others. So we need to look at that. The discussions that are ongoing on AGOA, Comrade Parks Tau has been moving in and out of the United States of America. Comrade Lamula, I have, as the head of international relations, interacted with political parties in the United States of America, as well as influential individuals to engage. And this is in the best interest of our own country, but as well as in their own interest. And work is ongoing in that regard. The good thing is that we are not over-dependent, but we want to affirm the fact that we rely on each other. We rely on each other in these situations.
So I like that point because in the past I've spoken about that point where I was saying, it seems like, especially when I was listening to Mr. Mutsualedi, when he was saying like, if there is a gap, or if the Americans actually American president decides to actually stop the funding. And then Mr. Mutsuale said that they will make sure, in other words, they will work hard and make sure that they close that gap, okay? Then I said that why don't you just close the gap even now? That means you can take out that fund, okay? You can work and find maybe ways on maybe money or ways, because it's money, money, so that you can close that gap, so that you take them out actually totally, so that we don't depend on them, okay? So, well, when she addresses that thing like that to say, we don't want to be, dependent on people a lot, okay? But we want to be independent. Obviously, I don't know about that, but I think when she addresses it, it makes, for me, guys, unfortunately, when it comes to people talking, you just have to take what they say, You don't have to try and you can try and get into their minds and blah, blah, blah. Because when you look at her speak, she's confident, She knows, it seems like she knows what she's talking about, okay? So I'm happy if they say to us they don't want to be totally dependent, on the Americans or on any other country, which is good, actually. Because you don't want to be a country that has dependence on other countries all over everything, She says that it's all about working together, international relations, working together, sort of a thing, not depending on them, okay? And I think that some of the countries, they must not think that because we are receiving funds from them and then we are depending on them. But I will always say, guys, that let us as South Africans or South Africa, let's fight to be independent. I was listening to one of the videos on TikTok. There was a person who was talking regarding Germany and Fund 8, these funds that a country will receive from other countries, because they want to support them in terms of health thing, resources of health and stuff like that. He actually said that Germany, they had a fund that they were receiving from other countries, all right? And then it happened that they upgraded, or they grew to such an extent that they ended up taking all those funds from other countries. In other words, they grew to such an extent that they can depend on themselves, okay? And they ended up growing to such an extent of actually being the people to actually supply for other people. Okay, which is actually good. That's how a country should be, guys. It should grow. It should not be in the same place. Always the fund, it's been years and years and years. You are not growing. You are not taking over the fund. You are just depending on them. Because now what happens with the funds, guys, that come from other countries, they make you to be comfortable. They make you to forget that anytime it's tea time, they can take it off. They can cancel it. They can freeze it. They can do whatever. And then you will realize that actually, oh, by the way, we need to do something about this thing. That's how a country should be. Not this thing of depending on people and depending on other countries always. It is good to have a relations with other countries, working with other countries, because we are in the world, we are in Africa, but it doesn't mean that you should depend on them the whole of your life. Then it becomes a problem. One day, if they want to control you, they will do it. One day, if they want to mess you up or destroy you or do whatever, they will just take all those funds on all those programs, and then you are out. You will be struggling like nobody's business. Anyway, let's continue in this end.
The DRC situation, firstly, we have conveyed our condolences to the families. We have also wished those that have been injured well. Three things that are important there. Yes, the Department of Defense is the one now that will interact. Remember, our South Africans who are in the DRC are there as part of the peacekeeping mission. So there are processes within that operation where then their remains would then be handed over to the South African Defence Force and then be brought back home. There has been contact made by the Defence Force with the families, and precisely because of the protocols of the army, because I think part of what we sometimes forget is that there's command and control in the army. And when they are there, they are not necessarily under our command, but they are under the command of those that are responsible for the operations in the DRC. What we can affirm is the fact that we have been casualties, but they have also, the other side, have had excessive casualties. But because of the confrontation that has been ongoing, again, under the protocols of the army, no one has to be bold enough to come and give a full account until at a time when there has been a resolution to say, now let's go and explain. I know that there were people who were excited to see the white flag, and I was laughing, hey, we saw the flag. But when you check what exactly happened, it was about the other side coming to recover their own bodies. But because, again, how military operates, these are the details that do not necessarily belong to us because there are no updates like an NC conference. We sit in a room and then the media updating. No. So at an appropriate time, there will be a full account of what has happened, and that will be done once the remains are handed over here to us as South African. Our Commander-in-Chief, Wamampela, will then have the right people and allow those generals to give a full verdict of what has happened and a full account. We have an interest in the DRC that there should be peace and security. All of us seated here, we know if there's instability in any part of the continent, it's us. No other country gets hard hit. And therefore, our commitment to avail ourselves in times of conflict is a national interest. Somebody was saying, they find themselves like, and they don't come through the right channels. Therefore, we must work for a better Africa where there's peace and friendship. Other issues that have to do with those conflicts and why our patriots have found themselves there, we need to deal with them. The appetite to exploit our rich mineral resources and the sowing of conflict and tension by those who thrive on a divided Africa. We need to deal with that. The other thing is to look at what Sadak has said, that there must be communication amongst the affected parties. They can't, you don't go to war and never come back and sit around the table and so on. So this is but one of the things that is very delicate, precisely because nowadays everybody and anyone assumes that they understand and assumes that things can be attended to anyway and anyhow. In this situation, as it has happened before, we've been part of many peacekeeping missions. It is unfortunate that this occurred, and once it is appropriate, it will be explained. How did it happen that we have more than 13 of our own who actually were attacked? But as of now, we are a nation in mourning. We should, all of us, await the appropriate time once the Commander-in-Chief gets a full handover of everybody and everything that occurred there, that possibly he can call a family meeting and tell the nation about what has happened. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I've got sort of like 4 points very quickly. Now I want you guys to actually pay attention because I want to say this. I want to put this in a correct way. Okay, so this is the thing, guys. Number one, the military. Okay, obviously I don't think the military works in the same way like any other department or any other, sort of like part of the country. Okay, it is very sensitive, one, because there are people there which are the soldiers. Okay, and also there is a process, there is a procedure. That's why you've got commanders, you've got all these people who actually give command. Okay, you've got the president also giving the command, right? So you don't just give a command, or you don't just act recklessly. You need to be very careful. You need to follow the steps. You need to see and look at the situation on what is happening, and then maybe you can take a decision. Just like, actually, I also believe that the minister, he doesn't have, you see, if you are in a, this is me like thinking, okay, if you are in a military, you are a minister or whatever from the political side, okay, I don't think you have that much power when it comes to everything else, because remember, the commander-in-chief, Miss Nomvula says the real one. That will mean comparing Mr. Malema, because he actually calls, or they call him CIC, that is commander-in-chief. So now you've got the commander-in-chief, the president. So the president has the powers to say he can command anything, because he's the one who is actually overlooking all of those things. And then you've got then people that are down there and everything. Okay, so I think it's a tricky one, because you don't just do things. Number two is that there are people who actually lost their lives. Okay, so that means there are soldiers who actually lost their lives. So that is also actually very important, because you don't want to do things without allowing people to mourn, without allowing people, to have their time and everything like that. So I think it's a tricky one, and there is a procedure, guys. You don't just jump and everything. Okay, and also the point that she makes, which I think is very important, it is the point about the Congo, the people from Africa, right? That we need to have the countries in Africa to have peace. If there is no peace in those countries, the problem is people will be running to South Africa. Okay, that is a problem, right? Because if the country is unstable, there is fights, there is this and that and that, people run to South Africa, because it seems like it is the first place that everyone, when they go through things in their countries, they run to, right? Now, this is the thing, though, that sometimes I have a problem with. When African people, African guys who come from other countries, when they use this thing of apartheid and say, yeah, your people came to our countries, we hid them in our countries, and they wanted to kill them, we make sure that we protect them, blah blah blah. It is not the same, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, it is not the same. Okay, it is not the same, because remember that in South Africa it was a system against a system. South Africans, they wanted to uproot, to take out the system that was actually trying to deprive them their lives. It is not the same. Okay, now you remember that, I don't know, but I believe that you would remember that when these guys, they will run to other countries, it will be the leaders, people that are leading the country, or who wanted to actually uproot that system at the time, and they were leaders, mostly ANC leaders, and I can also put maybe other parties like PAC and stuff like that. Okay, they would run to other countries because they were leaders and they were looking for them, wanting to assassinate them and everything like that. So they had to run to those countries. Okay, and it was not like South Africans came, all of them, and ran to a country. No, or half of them, or quarter of them. No, it was only the people that actually were leaders at that time that were running there. It is possible that there were other maybe South Africans, maybe because they were not able to handle the pressure and everything, they ran maybe to other countries. But I think and I believe chances are they may have come back again. Okay, so people, they must stop using that thing against us. Okay, because it is not the same as when there is a problem in other people's countries, and then almost the quarter of the country comes to South Africa. It's not the same. I don't think there is a country that will allow that. Okay, it's good to have people in our country, and then also she mentions the fact that they end up coming with the wrong channels, and which is bad, and channels that are not lawful, and people just come in without documents and stuff like that. It becomes a problem. So I think she has a point there to say we must have peace in this country so that we avoid having South Africa crowded. Okay, just because because most of them, they will complain about their countries. Yeah, in my country is this and that, and so sometimes you will understand, but again, we have never, and I don't remember there is somewhere where it is written to say South Africa, they were going through this, and then the whole South Africa ran to other countries. Not the whole, the quarter or the half of the country ran to other countries. Okay, in most cases you will find that if there is a president in South Africa that the certain race doesn't like, they actually run to overseas. Some of them, they run and go and leave the country. Why? Because this guy is the president, they don't like them. Hey, the country is going to suffer. Hey, they are going to kill us. They are going to, and then people run to other countries, and it doesn't happen. And it is the other race. But I can tell you, South African black people, they will never just run out of a country, their country. Okay? Anyway, that is just my opinion. The number 3 point, it's going to be everyone thinks they understand. Now, Miss Nomvula Mokonyane says that now everyone, it seems like everyone understands what is going on in the military. Okay? Now, obviously, guys, some of us who make videos, we make videos based on what other politicians say. Because we all know that politicians, sometimes when they get an opportunity of some sort, media, something, they just talk, okay? And I made a video about Malema. I said to you guys, I don't think that there is a politician who will just come and just spread things without information. I believe that these leaders who are politicians, especially presidents of parties, they do have resources to get their information, okay? I don't think they would just come into the media and say things and whatever. Okay? Now, just like this thing of load shedding, Malema said that the load shedding will come back. All right? Do you think that he just said it? He knew. There were things, maybe they were checking, maybe there was whatever they checked, whatever resources they used, to find out. And maybe they told them, it will come back. But I can tell you guys, when it comes to load shedding, I am very sorry, but I am under the impression that maybe the load shedding was brought, the timing for me was bad. The tariffs, 12% that they actually didn't want, because they gave them less what they wanted. Obviously, what do? You go and punish people. That is what came into my mind, and which I think, anyway, let's not talk about that, okay? So now, we as people who make videos, we make videos based on what other political people say. That will be presidents of other parties and everything. So that is why a lot of videos that you see that talks about the military thing, it will be based on what Malema said. The gun thing, bullets not there, aeroplane not there, they were there but there were no one to fly them and everything like that. So a lot of it comes from that, it emanates from that part, okay? But obviously, some of us, we make videos based on that, okay? And unfortunately, whether you criticize or not, a story is a story. When a person speaks on the media, we all listen and we all take what they say, because they gave them airtime. We can't be now sitting there and blaming people who are talking about what somebody has said. Okay? So we take from what we hear. We don't have resources, some of us, to go and send people to do some whatever research. We don't have those resources. We just take from what is happening. Anyway, that's what it is, guys. Okay. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the military, guys, we can say whatever we want to say, but on this one, I don't think we can be like that. Okay. Now, the point of mourning, I think I have mentioned it already. The part where there are people who are mourning, there are people who died. Okay, so we have to respect that. We have to allow them to get their people and everything, and maybe bury them, and then after that there's going to be that investigation. But I can tell you guys, if they are not going to hide anything, there's going to be something here that is actually going to be exposed, and it's not going to be good for some people. And if they do it thoroughly, and if they are not going to hide anything, I think there are people who will have to be fired or anything like that, okay, because of what actually happened. And I really don't know, guys, what, anyway, but let me not talk about that anymore, because we all know we will wait until, the briefing, the full briefing and stuff like that. That is why the minister of the defense force, whatever, the minister, she was not a lot of giving the real detail, not the real details, but deep details. Why? Because maybe she was told by the commander-in-chief, listen, we're still waiting for investigation. Don't say a lot of things because you don't know. We don't know what happened. We don't know whatever. Let's allow the investigation. That is why she went to things like a Clement show on SAPC, talking there. She had to respond the way she had to respond. Now, I'm not defending anyone. This thing was bad. But unfortunately, the department we are dealing with, it's a very sensitive one, and it's a one that it's almost, I can say, secretive, because it's a military thing. Anyway, now there is a point that I thought she was going to mention it. I think I left it behind, where she was talking about the ANC, where she mentioned the fact that some people think, and he was speaking to the people there, some obviously, and those who were actually listening, some people think that the ANC, when maybe they sit in meetings, when they do their thing there, they don't think about South Africa. In other words, the issues of South Africa. Okay, now I can take that point, because she said it, because she is in the NEC, or she is in the top 8, whatever. I can take her point, because the reason why I'm saying that is because I can even say this point is actually coming to me, strictly to me. Why? Because perhaps I said it before, to say that these politicians, and I was actually referring to all of them, these politicians, you may think that they are thinking about you, or they are thinking about South Africa. Maybe they are not thinking about it, and maybe after they get the positions and everything, they forget about you, they do their thing. Now, she mentions the fact that they do think about the ANC, and then she mentions what we call the Lekgotla thing. All right, so Lekgotla is one of that thing. It's one of those meetings that they have. It seems like, or it looks like, the Lekgotla, it's a sort of like they concentrate more on the South African issues. That is why you saw them doing the press conference, the press briefing and everything, telling us what is happening in South Africa and the issues and whatever. So I guess that is what actually she was referring to, that we do think about South Africa. But for me also, I can say, if you say things and you do the opposite, it becomes a problem. Because what I have learned is that you don't believe what a person says, but you believe what they do. That is why somebody said one day that followers, they don't follow what you say, they follow what you do. That is why kids also sometimes, they don't follow what you say, they follow what you do. So it's very important that when they say these things, they say them, but they must make sure that their actions and their doing, it's actually in line with what they say. Because if you say this and you do the opposite, some of us, we might think that you are just thinking about your party, just thinking about your positions and stuff like that. Anyway, I don't know, guys, what do you think about this speech? According to me, with my unbiased, I can say judgment, I can say she spoke very well, and I think she spoke nicely without, you can tell, guys, I like people who speak with confidence and who knows what they are speaking about. And you will hear people speak and you will be like, but my guy, what are you talking about? And you can tell the confidence. That is why with Mrs. Motshekga, in most cases, what I don't like is she doesn't seem to be confident when it comes. Guys, have you seen other countries when they are military address? I'm telling you guys, especially the commander-in-chief. Did you hear the Rwanda president? He was like, you know what, you guys, we are not afraid of you. If you bring it on, we will take it on, you know. And I know that you will be like, that is reckless, but that's confidence. That brings do you think that the people of Rwanda, when they heard that, they were like, bring it on? You know why? Because of he was transferring this confident thing, this more motivation, and they were like, nah, bring it on. You know, because that's how a leader actually, I believe, it should be, especially when it comes to these type of things. We cannot have the minister, we cannot have the president, the commander-in-chief who's not confident, who is not like, you know. We need those things, we need that, because people, they have to respect us. Otherwise, they will do whatever they want. They will threaten us the way they want, because we are peaceful, right? We are softy. We just accept everything. Anyway, it's okay, guys. You can like the video, you can subscribe to the channel. I will appreciate that, guys. You can go and watch the whole thing. I just picked where she was talking, so you can go and watch. It's just the 8th celebration and everything like that. Thank you guys for watching. You have a good day. Respect you guys. I love you so much. I appreciate for subscribing. I appreciate your likes. That is nice. Thank you guys, and please keep on liking. Okay, thank you so much, guys. Sharp.